You know, I'm exploring my dark times. Tomorrow, when I've dropped my kids off, I am going to go to a place called Hopwas Woods. It is well known in the area for Hopwas Woods to be had a few dodgy things going on in the woods. One of them actually being witchcraft. One of them actually being witchcraft. Well, they thought it was witchcraft. But I will read you a little story about it, because tomorrow I'm going to go there and get some proper videos for you and some photos from the woods. Also, this woods is owned by the army, the army, but when the red flag is down, it's a public right of way. So if the red flag isn't up, you can go through the woods. If the red flag's not there, it's a public footpath. You can walk your dogs, whatever you need to do. Right, so I'm going to read you this story. Right. To most of us, dancing naked around a wood fire is odd, to say the least. Some treat it as a joke and dismiss the participants, can't even speak now, loonies. Others find it sinister and frightening. But whatever you think, there is no doubt that they are sincere in their beliefs. Intelligent and articulate, they appear genuinely to strive towards the truth as they see it. One thing is certain, now that their activities have been exposed, Hopwas Woods may see the like again. And someone's opinion back in the Tamworth Herald, which is a local paper, on Friday the 29th of June 1984, I wasn't even 10 years old then, the opinion was that back in 1984, strange goings on were reported at Hopwas Woods. A local newspaper, the Tamworth Herald, carried stories of nude witchcraft rituals and the like. The international occult group, the Order of the Silver Star, conducted magical rituals in the woods. It's a pity that the groups are not left alone. They harm no one. In fact, their motives and aims are quite laudable. Basically, they were doing what people thought were witchcraft back then, so they all started getting a bit weird. So, in the Tamworth Herald, on the same day, on Friday the 22nd of June in 1984, the title read, "Police Swoop on Naked Witches in the Wood." Naked witches had their secret midnight ritual when police moved in to an isolated clearing in Hopwas Woods, near Tamworth. The 16 startled witches, 6 of them women, were dancing and chanting around a fire. They spent the rest of the night in the cells at Tamworth Police Station, which is now shut down. It's abandoned. It's a good one to try. Because officers suspected they were in possession of drugs. It is understood that the witches claimed they were part of the International Silver Star organisation and were celebrating the weekend's summer solstice, the longest day. The police were called to the woods in the early hours of Saturday after a car was heard making its way along a narrow track in a clearing on army-owned land at the heart of the firing range. Danger Police area found the naked dancers with a supply of food and drink and equipment, thought to have included a chalice and a sword. Police reinforcements were sent to the scene and some officers stayed to guard the site throughout the night. The witches, aged from their early 20s to nearly 50, were thought to be mainly from the Tamworth area, but it is believed some had travelled from as far as the West Country for the ritual gathering. Superintendent Don Robinson, Tamworth Police Chief, said all 16 agreed to come to the police station voluntarily so that we could check their identities and the amount they have given of themselves. The accountant, not a maint. What am I, mate? We then suspected they were in possession of drugs and they were detained so that we could inquire into the aspect. We are now considering the question of the proceedings under the Drugs Act. As far as we can make out, no offences were committed other than the possible drug offences. When they were discovered, the witches were understood to have told police that their presence had desecrated the coven's sacred ground, but the Superintendent Robinson said that they had cooperated with the police in the investigation. Yesterday, a Tamworth clergyman, who is an expert on the occult, said that he heard for a long time about a coven of witches meeting in hopwas Woods. The Reverend David Shearer, minister of Coton Green's Evangelical Church, said, "I would have no doubt that the people involved in the incident at the weekend are witches. Witches, white or black, are all worshippers of Satan, a part of the occult. There is no such thing as witches working for good." He added, "I wouldn't be at all surprised if there is more than one witches' coven meeting in the Tamworth area." In the Tamworth Herald on the 29th of June 1984, quite a lot went on in that year, didn't it? Occultists talk of ritual in the woods. Nudist dancers hit out at witches' tag. 4 Tamworth occultists who were involved with the others in a naked ritual in hopwas Woods spoke out this week and said, "We are insulted to be labelled as witches and black magicians." Their activities were discovered during a midnight police swoop when officers saw 16 specially selected nude men and women dancing in a clearing. They were then to Tamworth Police Station for questioning, but later released. Police said certain substances had been sent to forensic laboratories. Mr. James Lee, self-confessed leader of the ritual, talked from his cottage in Albert Road, Tamworth, this week with 3 other members of the group. They were a former Queen Elizabeth's Grammar School pupil and a Tamworth businessman, Stefan Dajnovowicz, a young woman called Carol Smith, and a 3rd member who did not want to be named. The rituals, they said, had been going on in the woods for 12 years, but would be no more now. The woods have been known as a source of energy. Men and women. The men and women are part of the Order of the Silver Star, international occultists and astrologers who say they have their own philosophy on the meaning of life. We strive towards the truth. We work with computers and take all systems of religion throughout religion, thought and philosophies and try to put them into one system, says Mr. Lee. We use very advanced math and modern physics. Calculations, he said, are based on the discovery in 1976, the year I was born, of numerical key in the English language. Astrology is only a tool for us. It makes up only 20% of our work. Jeez, it's a big story, this one. He said occultists began holding rituals in hopwas Woods 12 years ago when the code to a certain English text was discovered. Carol Smith explained the ritual last week was part of a series of rites that have taken place there to avert a major disaster caused by the influence of Pluto in October or November. The 16 people involved have been specially selected. We cannot say what the disaster is, she added. During last week's ceremony, also held in other parts of Britain and throughout the world, group members representing different influences formed themselves a pentagram. They wore robes and had a sword, wand, pentacle and a cup. Not witchy, but we would like to convey that we are not a witchy group, said Carol. We are a serious occultist within the worldwide but closed group of people. We don't make spells or follow Satan. We are an order as a philosophy, a way of life and a set of attitudes that have been lost. Mr. Lee said in the Middle Ages, occultists and astrologers were not burnt or prosecuted by the establishment because they worked for the crown. Even today, a royal family take a lot of notice of astrologers. Loyalty to the crown is still our essence, and because of this we obey the police. Mr. Lee said they never tried to put their views over to other people, but perhaps could help them at times when knowing. People who want to join us or meet us just meet up, and we would term it as an accident. We can predict the future, and there is telepathy. We believe everything is predestined. We believe that to be a human being is more important than having a particular job. Loyalty and love. Individuals who join us have integrity, honesty and capacity for loyalty and love of one's fellow man within continuum. People who join us usually dissatisfied with Christian teachings or any other teachings. They see Christians saying one thing and doing another. Mr. Lee said the rituals held were connect with stars and planets. The removal of our robes as symbols of power lessens the power from the planets we represent. The nakedness itself is irrelevant. We are not naturalists. We don't walk around with no clothes on, but we don't consider nudity or otherwise irrelevant, except for the disrobing ceremonies in rituals. In America, he said the Order of the Silver Star was better known and more open. People even talk about it at AA t-shirts, the letters of AAS Argenteum, Astrum Silver Star in Latin. The discovery of the occultists in Tamworth would not drive them out, said Mr. Lees, but we will move out when we are ready. Our time here is spent. We will not be leaving in a hurry. Children of the members were not indoctrinated, said Mr. Lees. We do not involve them in our discussions here or in our rituals. No one is involved under the age of 21. Carol Smith said that we find it difficult to explain about ourselves. We have never had to work on a media package before. It is not that we are particularly wish to summarise or explain the interest that's been thrust upon us. They said the people in the group are usually very bright, intellectual, creative people. It did include artists, dental technicians and landscape gardeners. They said they found the labels naked witches or Satanists insulting. This is not fair to say occultists are only for bad purposes. In my case, after 16 years of work, this is insulting to be told that we are Satanists. That's the end of that story. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, tomorrow I'll be putting up some videos and pictures when I go to the woods and see if I can have a look around, if I can find anything. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all very, very soon.